Hi everyone. In today's video, I wanted to talk to you about quantum physics and how it relates to spirituality and your reality. Before I get started, I am on my laptop's camera right now. I'm literally recording this from the photo booth app, and I kind of like it because it feels very casual and conversational, and it feels like I'm on a FaceTime or a Zoom with you, and I'm kind of digging that. So let me know how you feel. Whenever I have my lights and my camera up, I kind of feel constricted and a little bit of pressure. I feel observed. And that actually ties in perfect to today's subject because if you guys are familiar with quantum physics and you know about the observer effect, and if you don't, then we'll get into it. Before I get into quantum physics, I want to give a shout out to Newtonian physics. And Newtonian physics is what our society, especially in the West, is built upon. Newtonian physics came from Isaac Newton, and it's basically a model that measures things separate from each other. Like my bag is its own thing, my cell phone is its own thing, this remote is its own thing. Like it's a very like everything can be measured length, width, height, and everything. It's a very linear, very logical, very predictable model of physics, whereas quantum is if you break any of these objects down and you get to the subatomic level, you'll see that 99.99999% of the things that make up the atoms or the molecules, the thing is energy. Like we are all mostly, if not entirely, energy, right? And quantum is a fancy word for energy. Now how that ties into spirituality and our belief systems is, I think that because we were brought up on Newtonian physics and this individualistic model of the world, we see things in each other as separate from each other, whereas quantum, again, it's everything is connected by energy. Now, if you guys haven't noticed, my channel is very spiritual mindset based, so I'm not here to give you an encyclopedic, scientific explanation on things. I want to make everything as simplistic and as easy to digest as possible, as if I'm talking to a 5-year-old, even though I doubt that any of you are 5 years old. But if you are 5 years old, shout out to you, you're doing great. But so our society is very individualistic, everything is separate from each other. That's very Newtonian, that's very like old school classical ways of doing things, of seeing things, of perceiving the world. And with the evolution of science and experiments and even spirituality, we've come to adopt the quantum model. And again, quantum is a fancy word for energy. And quantum theory, as it pertains to spirituality, states that everything is connected, and every single possibility, every single outcome, everything that is, was, ever will be, every single thought exists within the quantum field. And all of these potentialities or outcomes or ideas, or let's say the highest version of me, right? She exists on a point in this quantum field, on this grid. And if I want to become her, then I have to embody that frequency and that vibration, and I can collapse timelines, and I can go through a wormhole in the quantum field, aka quantum jumping, quantum leaping. And earlier I mentioned the observer effect, and just to give like an application, or just to give an illustration of the observer effect, I don't know if this happens to you, but whenever I'm like at the gym and I look cute, or I'm at the grocery store or whatever, and I see a guy and I'm like, damn, he low-key looks, he's fine, and like I walk past him and I think that he's observing me, I suddenly forget how to walk and I look like a baby giraffe that's like limping, right? And in the observer effect, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the double slit experiment, but these atoms or molecules were like being shot through these slits, and like they were either on the wall that they were hitting, they either came up as waves or as lines. And they came to find out that it was because the atoms perceived, or they thought, or they felt that they were being observed, so that determined how they showed up. And so that's on a micro level. And on a macro level, I'm like the atom that I'm like, oh my God, am I being observed? And then suddenly I forget to walk, right? So that's like an illustration of the observer effect in the micro and the macro. But again, as it pertains to spirituality, you can use this principle because when you can observe, and when we think about observing, we tend to limit it to literal observation with eyesight. But if you think about the word observation as like synonymous with the act of like feeding something attention, whether that's with your eyesight, with your mind sight, with your thoughts, with your energy or your intention, any of your five senses or the senses that go beyond the five senses, it's basically feeding something attention, and that's observing it. That's like feeding it attention. And so when we feed potential realities or outcomes attention with our energy, it activates these potentialities. So think of yourself as like a container of energy, because everything is energy. You are a container of energy, and the things that you desire in life, they exist, and they're vibrating somewhere in this web. And so if you want outcomes or anything, all you have to do is like bridge that gap between you and this thing, and let go of resistance. And then you'll have it. It has no option but to materialize. And I do this myself through like embodiment work, right? And I like, you can do embodiment work by visualizing, by meditating. I love my favorite method of embodiment work is literally acting as if I'm that bitch. Like let's say that I wanted to be an Oscar-winning actress. I asked myself, okay, what would the version of Daniela that just won an Oscar be doing? How would she be treating people? What kind of energy would she be transmitting? And I think it's important to take it from theory, from the meditation, from the visualization practice, to application, to actual embodiment practice, and living as if, and talking as if, and just transmitting that energy as if, and like not just in, like, let's say I meditate at home, and so I'm concentrating that in one space, but imagine taking all that concentrated energy, imagine taking all that concentrated energy that I'm like harvesting at home, and then like going out in the world and planting those seeds in a like bigger, more expanded geographical area. Am I saying that right? Sometimes like I think in my thoughts come in pictures and in images, and I try to illustrate I try to articulate the picture that's in my mind as much as possible. But like I'm at home, and then and I have all these concentrated seed or like fertilizer, and instead of like it'll increase the chances of the plants growing or whatever growing if I go and like spread my if I spread my fertilizer, or if I spread those seeds. So I hope this makes sense to you guys. I hope this is making sense. Imagine never mind, guys. My humor is dark. Anyway, I love you. I hope this made sense. But yeah, embodiment work. Everything is energy. All you have to do is embody the highest version of yourself and let go of any resistance, because resistance creates tension. You don't want tension. You want to be in flow. And yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And yeah, let me know if this resonated with you. Let me know if you want me to go deeper into any subjects. I love you. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Bye. And yeah.